All right, everyone. Welcome back to the land of Chem. I am your host and the author. My name is Jeffrey Drum. Thank you all so much for joining me again. All right, everyone, welcome back. This is Sunday Site Visit 19, and in today's expedition, I return to the Red Pyramid of Dahshur with 3 objectives. First, to examine the chemically resistant coating compound on the exterior of the remaining casing stones. Second, to investigate the claims of holes in the upper vault of the primary reaction chamber. And third, to inspect the staining covering the interior of the chambers with the UV flashlight. If this is the type of content you're interested in regarding the function of the Egyptian pyramids, please subscribe to the Land of Chem here on YouTube. Click that little notification bell, like, comment, and stay tuned if you want to help support the channel. thelandofchem.com. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is @thelandofchem. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that is it for today's intro. So without further ado, let's get right to it. All right, everyone, here we go with tonight's episode. And to begin, here is a recreation of the Red Pyramid's capstone that you will see at the beginning of today's site visit. And according to Keith Hamilton, the pyramidion was socketed into a group of 4 supporting stones, adding extra stability to the configuration and explaining the steeper angle of the capstone itself. And you will see in just a moment that the pyramidion is still coated with a thick layer of the red coating compound that once covered the entire structure, which the chemical analysis has been shown is composed of mostly silicon dioxide and sulfur trioxide, creating a corrosion-resistant compound that sealed the exterior of the structure. And the presence of sulfur trioxide also supports my hypothesis that this civilization was capable of producing this molecule, as seen in my explanation of the sulfuric acid manufacturing inside the Great Pyramid of Giza. Next up, here in Hamilton's paper, he does acknowledge the pit at the bottom of the northern pump shaft, which you will see today is covered with wooden planking. He describes this as a drainage shaft to remove quote-unquote meteoric water, which is a fancy term for rainfall. But if these structures were originally sealed from the outside to secure the burial, how exactly is rainfall getting into the pyramid? And this statement that it is for drainage also supports the idea that this unexcavated shaft located here goes much deeper and leads to the outside of the pyramid, which it most certainly does, but he has the process reversed. This shaft brought water from the exterior reservoir into the chambers. And then I proceed to investigate the claims of the series of holes in the primary chamber, which, according to the original reports from Perry, are supposed to be located on the 7th and 10th tiers in the upper vault, as you can see here in these drawings. And these holes are shown in every single diagram of the Red Pyramid, another one here in this schematic from Frank Monnier. However, after probably a dozen entries inside of the Red Pyramid, I have seen 0 evidence of these holes in the primary chamber, which is extremely frustrating because as an independent researcher, we need to rely on these original drawings and diagrams from the early excavations for accurate representations of these structures. So where are the holes? Here's a picture showing the southern corner of the upper vault inside the primary reaction chamber. And according to these diagrams, 2 holes should be visible here on the 7th tier. But as you can clearly see, there are no holes whatsoever. And here in the diagram, this is the area that I was showing in the picture. But these 2 holes simply are not there. Here's another picture looking straight up into the vault on the eastern side. We should be able to see the 4 holes here on the 7th tier. But you tell me, ladies and gentlemen, do you see any holes here? And next up, I mentioned this 3D recreation of the final synthesis chamber in today's footage, so I wanted to show you how it beautifully captures the flow pattern of the staining coming out of the connecting shaft and moving up into the reaction vault. a clear indication of the fluid dynamics, in this case, the movement of gases and fluctuations of temperature and pressure inside of these chambers. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy Sunday Site Visit 19, and just wait until you see these stains with the UV flashlight. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the land of Chem. Here in, well, possibly one of my favorite sites in Egypt, but the place where it all began. The Red Pyramid of Dahshur. And I can tell you, having been out here for about 15 minutes or so since I arrived, it's about 2:30 in the afternoon right now. It is absolutely gorgeous out here. And it is such a tremendous difference in terms of just the energy of the site being out here in Dahshur compared to being on the Giza Plateau. And there's pretty much no one out here right now. I saw maybe one car in the parking lot on the way in. And for those of you that are new to the channel, I just wanted to show you some documentation of the red coating compound that was once painted on the exterior of this entire structure. And here in front of me, we have some casing stones that have been removed from the side of the pyramid and are now kind of strewn about the site. And you can see kind of the rubble field behind me are all stones that have been removed. So I'm going to show you some casing stones here, casing stones in the replica capstone, and then some casing stones in situ on the side of the pyramid that still have remnants of this red sealer. And it is a chemically resistant sealing compound, and the chemical analysis of that was presented in the episode. Were the pyramids painted? And I'll put a link in the video description below. So let's take a look at this block here. And I like this one in particular because it has two separate edges painted. One of the edges being the exterior surface layer, which was completely finished to a flat surface, and then an interior layer, which was never intended to be seen. So you can see here, this completely flat surface here with the red material painted on the surface. And I particularly like this one because it has two edges. So they just painted over. Whenever this thing was sealed, coated with this chemically resistant material, and you can see the layer here. This piece was on the inside. It was never intended to be seen. And then this completely flat, finished surface here is a piece of casing stone. You can see it, that strip goes all the way around the edge here. Again, interior piece that was most likely connected to another block here in the series. This one was also on the inside. And this is a surface piece. The exterior of the pyramid was painted with this red sealer. Hence the name, the Red Pyramid. Of course, that's a modern name. Which was assigned due to the reddish brown color of the iron oxide permeated stones that were used in the construction of the monument. And here's another piece with a big thick layer
of the coating compound. Also painted onto the interior block, which was not finished. And there's a whole bunch of these laying around here. And there's some here. There's a pile here. A pile here. And some off in the distance there. Here is the replica capstone. Oh, that wind feels so good. Replica capstone. And I'll put in an image of how they think the capstone of the Red Pyramid originally appeared. And you can see here, these are edge pieces. So this part is concrete. This is replica. This is not original pyramid stone. Modern concrete here. But these pieces, you can see the edge piece here. Those are pieces of the original Red Pyramid. And it is coated with the same red material that I just showed you. And for any of you that have been following, we know that this red coating compound was also discovered on the Central Pyramid, the limestone casing blocks of the Central Pyramid. And any of you that go up to Giza, just take a look at the remaining casing stones at the top of the Central Pyramid, and you can still see this reddish color coating all of the blocks at the top of the Central Pyramid. It is clear as day, an inarguable fact that the casing stones were coated. Structures. Again, my hand is still covered because I got a new tattoo on there. And it's a mud brick structure. And if you notice, this particular piece of mud brick right here is in the dead center of the pyramid. And I propose that there's a reservoir intake here, where the water flowed from the reservoir, and there was an external reservoir surrounding this entire pyramid. The water from the reservoir flowed into this hole and into the reaction chambers. And this hole here, which is now covered up by this mud brick, and they even connected the mud brick directly into the side, as you can see here. This intake would be connected the shaft termination at the bottom of the northern pump shaft. As we've discussed before, that is the water, so inlet from the reservoir leading into the bottom of the northern pump shaft, and we'll see that here in just a moment. And there are several places here on the casing stones where the coating compound still exists. And you have to remember, ladies and gentlemen, all this is buried in sand originally, before they excavated all of this. So most of the coating compound has most likely just been weathered away over thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And just because you have a chemically resistant coating compound does not mean that it lasts forever. Even our modern coating compounds have to be replaced from time to time. So here's a surface block. It still has, you can see, the reddish coating compound here in the nooks and crannies. The surface block. This is the same material that's down at the bottom. And this is an in situ casing stone here. And we're going to take a walk around to the other side, because there's another one over on the other side that has it. material itself has deteriorated. The wind is blasting out here, sand is blasting all over this. So of course it's going to gradually wear away that coating compound and only have the trace remnants of it here today. But it is absolutely painted on the remaining casing stones in situ on the outside of the Red Pyramid. And as always with the sites, all this rubble was cleared off. And these piles are from when they excavated this entire area. And here, so they're blocking the corner here. It's painted with that same red material. This is a casing stone, still in place here on the eastern side of the Red Pyramid. And I saw another block on the other side that has that same evidence. All right, now the primary objective for today, other than coming out here and exploring the eastern side a little bit, is to investigate the primary reaction chamber. And I'm going to search as hard as I possibly can. Again, it doesn't require much other than just looking into the upper vault. But it really frustrates me that the diagrams of the Red Pyramid show those 7 holes in the primary reaction chamber. And I wanted to come out here to get additional documentation and see if maybe somehow I might have missed something. Or if possibly those holes in the primary reaction chamber were really thoroughly sealed. Close up so you can see that layer of the material. This is original pyramid stone here. And so are these blocks over here. This one here, again with multiple edges painted. This edge is painted and this surface is painted here. All right. So I'm going to cut for now, and we will resume our expedition inside the reaction chambers. You can see the bent pyramid there in the distance. So let me drink some water. I am in the depths of what will probably be a 20-hour fast before I eat today. It's about, again, 2:30, 3 o'clock, and I haven't eaten yet today. Been doing some extended intermittent fasting. And it's hot out here, but wouldn't have it any other way. All right, let's climb this son of a bitch.
All right, everyone, just a quick reminder that if you want to help support the channel, just check out thelandofchem.com. I have the awesome new 6th degree green lion logo, the 5th degree central pyramid hydrochloric acid logo, the 2nd edition print copies of the Land of Chem book, this beautiful new Egyptian blue edition, signed copies of the original 1st edition purple orchid paper print are also now available. So if you want to show some love, just check out thelandofchem.com. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much for the support.
All right, and we're back down here. Inside the primary reaction chamber, the primary steam reformer. And this is the connecting shaft leading from the northern pump shaft into the primary reaction chamber. Beneath this wooden floor here is a pit that has been proposed by my good friend John Sage. That is the gentleman making the fluid dynamics modeling experiments, or demonstrations rather. This is the proposed pit where the water was coming from the exterior reservoir inlet that I just showed into the reaction chambers. And from the old pictures, before this wooden plank flooring was installed, it does appear that there were possibly several other holes here in this chamber and one underneath the stairway in the secondary chamber, which we'll get over there in just a minute. So there could have possibly been multiple potential inlets, some of them also functioning as outlets. The one in the second chamber is definitely the outlet. And this patched hole here the hole absolutely being an original part of the construction. As you can see, the profuse staining emanating from the hole, and it is the same staining that covers the entire chamber. So this is a direct indication that this hole is an original part related to the function of the structure in the same way that all the rest of the staining is. And this is the methane inlet shaft, where the methane was introduced into the primary steam reformer, and you can see it is located precisely at the same tier of stone as the opening shaft here. And this is a very specific and precise piece of engineering that was done very intentionally here at this exact same line. Opening, letting methane flow up into the reaction chamber. And we'll follow this line again here. All the way here. Very intentional piece of engineering to configure that hole at the exact same level as this opening. There's the hole and this connecting shaft here, because this whole section would have been filled with water up to this level is the initial mechanism of operation, because the water is going to seal off this connection shaft. It's going to be filled with water, so this is creating a liquid seal, fluid seal here and here. And what that does is it isolates the entire reaction space within this chamber, and it sets the initial pressure conditions, because now this is sealed off and this is sealed off. So we have P1, pressure 1, the volume of the upper reaction vault, and as the water level rises, pressure increases. And as it pushes the reacting gases further into the upper reaction vault, the pressure increases even more, because the volume is even more significantly reduced toward the upper portion of the reaction vault. And what I'm looking for today is some evidence of those 7 holes that are said to exist in this chamber. And I also brought something else with me down in here that I'll show you in just a moment. And there is not a single hole in this upper chamber. I wish I had brought my other flashlight. Yeah, there are no holes in this chamber, which is very frustrating. Because we have to count on these original diagrams for accurate representations of what's inside of these chambers, and and they're proposing that there are 7 excavated holes similar to what's in the secondary chamber. And again, I'm looking for some evidence of modern sealer or concrete that may have patched the holes up. And there's just none of it in here. So I don't know where this depiction of these 7 holes is coming from, because they certainly do not exist. And they're shown on every single diagram of the Red Pyramid. And the next thing that I brought with me today this little guy. UV light. These are modern measures so they can keep track of the size of the crack to see if the crack is expanded. Let's see if we can see anything interesting in here. And I wanted to bring this in here specifically so we can take a look at the second chamber. It does look like there's a pretty interesting glow on some of that drip staining. Look at that. And thankfully, I'm the only one in here today. Let's take a look here. It was better in that other chamber when the lights were off. So let's take a look at this. Interesting. The smell of ammonia never ceases to get me. And the chemical analysis analysis of this material has been presented in a 3-part episode here on the channel. If we remove the calcium carbonate element of the staining, this is predominantly iron oxide, aluminum oxide, strontium oxides, and a variety of other trace metals. Mostly iron, aluminum, strontium. So now we're going to go up the stairwell so I can show you what the holes look like. We've already seen them in previous site visits, and they show that there's, and so this is the location for the outlet shaft. And I'll put in an old picture that shows the chamber before the wooden floor was installed. So you can see that there does appear to be a shaft under here. Again, the wooden planking goes all the way back there, so there's no way for me to verify. The wooden planks go all the way to the edge of the chamber. Look at that. Some pretty significant salt deposit right there. I haven't noticed that before. And in that old picture, you'll see that this southern wall is the area with the most profuse staining in the entire structure. And you'll see as we get, let's take a look at this, as we get to the top of the staircase, how dense the staining gets near the area that would have housed the proposed baffles system. Well, it's got a pretty interesting glow to it. Especially that area, look at that. Okay. And the smell inside of this structure is emanating from the final chamber. Look at how dense the staining is getting here. So as you approach the final chamber, the smell gets stronger and stronger and stronger. All right. So these are holes. And we discussed the proposed baffle system previous episodes. You can see how dense the staining is right above where this component would have been housed. Same here and here. But all the diagrams of this chamber show that there are 3 large holes and that they are evenly spaced in this upper vault, which that is not true either. There is no 3rd hole on the northern side. You see that very clearly. These holes are not evenly spaced. This one is a little bit lower on the 6th tier. Matches up directly with this one. This one is slightly higher. This one is closer to the 7th tier. Matches directly with this one. And there's 2 small holes. One here. And one here. You can see the excavated part of the connecting shaft that leads into the final synthesis chamber. All of this material was removed to enlarge this shaft. And so why did they go through all the trouble? Unless there was something pretty large that was being removed from this chamber. The final synthesis chamber. And I'll put in the 3D diagram, which also correctly shows the flow dynamics of these staining patterns, which I think is a very, very interesting result of that 3D modeling and the pit. All right. So that was my main objective today, was to investigate the primary reaction chamber and to make sure that I wasn't missing something in my interpretation and documentation of this structure, because making sure that I present accurate information here on the channel is of the utmost importance. And if I want to make a claim that there are no holes in that primary reaction chamber, I want to show you there are no holes in there. There's definitely holes in this one, but there's only 2, not 3. So again, that's very frustrating. The inaccuracy of the diagrams. You can see how dense the staining is here in this area. So for those of you that are new to the channel, the staining is what's known as an extrusion. So that material is coming out of the stone. And as I just showed in the primary reaction chamber of the final pyramid, that those extrusions are not caused by static pressure above the chamber, because there is no weight of stone above the primary chamber in the final pyramid. There's a cavity above the reaction chamber, so there's no weight of stone pressing down on the chamber, which would have caused these extrusions to squeeze out of the stone. You've also seen that these are liquid stains. It's like fluid coming out of the stone. So what is going to cause solid material to extrude liquid? High temperature. And these extrusions are a direct result of the fluctuations of temperature and pressure inside of this chamber. So you had to get the chamber hot enough for the material to extrude out, and it's like a sponge. The fluctuations of pressure causing the material to extrude out of the stone. And the patterns and the directionality of the staining indicate the direction and movement of the reaction through the chambers. So the areas where you see the most dense staining are the areas that experience the most profound fluctuations of temperature and pressure, as we see there specifically in the upper reaction vault of the second chamber. All right, so that's it for today, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back. Yalavina.
All right, everyone, that is it for today's video. This was Sunday Site Visit 19, the Red Pyramid of Dahshur. I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and in the next episode in the series, I will be presenting some absolutely critical research regarding the Great Pyramid of Giza. If this is the type of content you're interested in regarding the function of the Egyptian pyramids, please subscribe to The Land of Chem here on YouTube, like, comment, and stay tuned. If you want to help support the channel, thelandofchem.com. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is @thelandofchem. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that is it for today's episode. So I will see you next time.
Yo, are you still watching this? Please subscribe to The Land of Chem here on YouTube and click that little notification button. New videos coming out every single week. And check out this other episode. Come on, do it. Do it now.